Welcome to the Adventures of the Mountain Man Chronicles.
Thanks to my brother Steve for this week's video. No better way to demonstrate the need for today's video than showing a rig going over rocks and showing how tires react to it. If you notice over my last few videos, we've been kind of had a little subject matter going on. Started with the Puma Air Pump, which is how I inflate my tires to the proper air pressure recommended in them for driving on the street, to the next video, which was on lowering your air tires down, which is today what we're going to talk about. The why of all this. Why do you need to air down your tires? Why it's important. Again, I think I want to caveat this video with you do what's right for you in your situation. Lowering down your air can always be risky if you go too far. It could also be beneficial if you do the right amount of air. And that's what the subject today is going to be about. We're going to go through several different reasons why, several different air pressures. Before I do anything, one of the things I'd like to hear from you is, what is your go-to air pressure? Put it in the comments below that you go to when you're overlanding or off-roading or rock crawling. What do you think is the best pressure for you when you're doing that? Put it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to know what you run your rig at. For me, it depends on the situation. For the most part, if I'm in deep snow, I'll go down to about 15, and I'll explain this further, and I'll explain why, and I'll go through that. So that's what today's video is about. So we're going to get started right now.
You'll see here's an example of what happens when you don't air down your tires, and one of the benefits of airing down your tires. So as Steve goes through this rock garden, you'll notice that his tires are sliding off the rocks. They're not conforming to him. This is partially because it's muddy, but also I believe if he would have aired down more, his tires would have conformed, offering better traction. So one of the benefits of airing down is you get a wider footprint. Your tires are more flexible, so they'll be able to mold to an obstacle. There is some drawbacks and benefits to that. First of all, running the right air pressure allows your tires to conform, but also could potentially lower the distance to the ground with your vehicle, your axles, etc. So if you're in deep snow, yes, you could potentially float on top, but also you could be dragging your axles, everything else through the mud. For example, here you'll see Steve, I think he whacks his car a little bit there, but that's partially because he slides off the rocks. And it's also because of that. So enjoy this portion of the video, and you'll see Steve sliding all over the rocks. You'll see here in the video that you're representatives of different tire pressures and the amount of tire that you have touching the ground. So for example, at 40 pounds, you have a very narrow tire touching the ground. As you decrease your tire, you're increasing the amount of tread actually that's making contact. So what that does is it allows you to, in a sense, float, have more air, conform, as I was saying earlier. In the next set of videos, what you're going to see here is what the actual wood looks like in real life as you go over the piece of wood. Now, I found these from a website, ARC. The link is below. Great representative of different pressures, what they can do, especially as you're going over, like this is just a simple piece of wood, as you see in these. So if you look at, for example, the higher pressure at 30 pounds, it's very different than the one at 10 pounds. The 10 pounds of pressure conforms to the piece of wood, not only the length of the tire, but also the width of the tire. You can see here, as an example of earlier, when Steve was going through the rocks, how much smoother it would have been as he goes through that. And what we're going to see here is an example of Steve aired down here in a moment, going over the rocks. But pay attention to these tire pressures, because I think they do explain, and these images help you understand what the benefits of lowering your tire pressure down is. Basically, you're more footprint on the ground, more flexibility of the tire. Now, again, you can go too low, but I think this offers a good opportunity to see what the different pressures do. Now, here's a perfect example of what happens when you air down properly. Look how that tire conforms to that rock. Look how big that rock is. Fun fact, airing down your tires can decrease the tire length by up to 80% and the width by 20%, resulting in an expanded surface area and contact patch, which is basically what I've been saying in this whole video, just a little more concise. One of the things I want everybody to realize that although Steve does hit the gas pedal here pretty hard, speed does not overcome traction. So having a bigger footprint, a tire that conforms to your to your environment, can help you get over an obstacle, help you through deep snow and mud. I want to thank Steve for being my subject matter expert, providing me some information for this video. And I want to thank you for just listening. And please, if you like the video, please like and subscribe. So my future videos are going to be coming up where I'm doing an overlanding trip here coming up following the Custer Trail. Several other trips that'll be exciting throughout the year. Please stay tuned.
Welcome to the event.